Hello everyone, welcome to this session. In the previous tutorial, I taught you about strings and data structures in Python. In this session, we will be seeing what are loops and conditional statements in Python. Before we begin, let me just show you the agenda of this session. So, we will be starting by seeing what are conditional statements. Then we will move on to loops, where we will be exploring different looping constructs which are available in Python. And finally, we'll also see what are control statements. So let's get started now. Before you learn about conditional statements, you need to be familiar with the comparison operators that Python provides you. These operators are used to compare two numbers. Sometimes we can also compare strings using these numbers. So, the first comparison operator which we can see is the greater than or less than operator. This operator returns a boolean value based on the inputs. For example, when we check if 6 is greater than 5, then the output will be true. But if we check whether 6 is less than 5, then the output will be false. The next operator which we have is the greater than equal to and less than or equal to operator. Now, this checks if the given number is greater than or equal to the specified number or it is less than or equal to the specified number. Then we have the operators which only check if the two inputs are equal or not equal. So they are the double equal to operator and the exclamation and equal to operator. So this double equal to operator checks if the two inputs are equal, and the exclamation and equal to operator checks if the two inputs are not equal. Okay, now that we have a basic idea of comparison operators, let us look at conditional statements. Many of the times our decision is based on some form of condition. Okay, so let us take an example and understand this. For example, if you're hungry, then you will have food. That is obvious. But if you're not hungry, then you don't have food. So, this example best describes the scenario when you have to make a decision. And very often, as a software developer or as a data scientist, you also need to make some decisions. And these decisions are made in Python using if else statements. Let's see how we can implement these if else statements in Python. Now you can see that I have already shown you the syntax of if else statements. This syntax is quite simple. It has two keywords, if and else. The if keyword is followed by the condition within parenthesis, which is followed by a colon, and then the statement that we want to be executed in case the condition turns out to be true. In case the condition fails to be true, then this statement is executed which resides within the else statement block. Care has to be taken that there is a space or indentation after the if condition and also the else condition. So this is the space that I'm talking about. Since Python does not, since Python does not support the use of curly brackets, we need to use proper indentations so that Python understands the scope of our code. Now let us convert our previous problem into an if else statement. So our condition was that if we are feeling hungry, then we need to have food. And if we are not hungry, or else if we are not hungry, then we do not need to have food because we are not hungry. This if else statement is good when we want to check for one condition. But what if we want to check for multiple conditions? For example, when we want to see the passing status of a student, some students might have scored above average, some might have scored below average, some might have scored average marks, or some might have not even passed. So it becomes really difficult to incorporate these kind of multiple conditions in one if else statement. And for that, we have if, elif, else statements. The syntax for the if, elif, else statements is very much similar to the previous one. The only addition in this if, elif, else statement is the elif statement, which gives us the ability to check for one extra condition. Or you can use this multiple times to check for multiple extra conditions. So what you can do is you check for a particular condition in the if block. If the condition is true, then execute the statement in that block. Now, if that condition turns out to be false, then check for another condition in the elif block. And if the condition is true, then simply execute the statement in this elif block. Or if the condition is again false or it fails to be true, then go to the else block and execute the statement. Really simple, isn't it? So let us look at a real example of if elif statement. Assume a variable n. Now you have to print positive if n is greater than 0. You have to print 0 if n is equal to 0. And you have to print negative if n is less than 0. Let's see how we can convert this problem into an if elif else statement. So first of all, we checked if n is greater than 0. This block checks if n is greater than 0. Then if it is greater than 0, then it will print positive on the screen. But there is another condition also. That is, we have to print 0 if n is equal to 0. So this block checks if n is equal to 0. And if n is equal to 0, then the condition becomes true and it prints 0 on the screen. Now, if the condition is false, then the number is neither positive nor it is equal to 0. So it will move on to the else block and print negative on the screen. Now you have to keep in mind that I have used double equal to sign to compare and not a single equal to. Single equal to is just an assignment operator, and this single equal to is used to assign values to variables. So this is how we can convert a problem into an if-elif statement. This was all about conditional statements in Python. Now let's dive deeper and learn about logic operators. So let us see what are logic operators. Logic operators take in Boolean values and they perform some operation on this Boolean value. After performing the operation on this Boolean value, they return a Boolean value. And this Boolean value might be the same value which was given as an input, or it can be different. Now the value which is given as an output totally depends on what type of logic operator we are using. We have three types of logic operators in Python. Let us see these logic operators in detail. So the first operator is the NOT operator. If the input is true for this NOT operator, then the result is false. Similarly, if the input is false, then the result is true. The second operator which we have is the OR operator. And this OR operator takes in two Boolean values and produces a new Boolean value. The output of this OR operator is true if any one of the input is true, and the output is false if and only if both the operators are false. All of these are very interesting topics which we will be seeing and which we will be doing some operations in the lab section. So the third operator which we have is the AND operator, and this operator also takes in two values and it returns the output as true if and only if both the inputs are true. Otherwise, the output is false. Let us see some examples of these operators. Now consider a Boolean value which is true. Okay, and you have a NOT operator. When we pass this Boolean value true to this NOT operator, the NOT operator performs some operations and returns not true that is false. Now, in order to give an example of the OR and the AND operator, consider the following example. This example will be for the OR operator. So, consider a person who knows Java or Python. Then you can say that the person might be knowing object oriented programming too. But if the person doesn't know either of the two, then the person might not be knowing object oriented programming at all. Similarly, you can consider the same example but with a different condition for the AND operators. You can say that if a person knows Java and C++, then the person knows object oriented programming. Otherwise, the person doesn't know object oriented programming. So, in this case, the person needs to know both the object oriented programming languages in order to say that the person knows object oriented programming. But if the person doesn't know any one of these two languages, then the person cannot say that he or she knows object oriented programming. We'll see how we can use these operators in the if else statements in the lab section. Now, we will move on to the next topic, which is loops in Python. Many a times, we often wish to repeat a particular task. For example, let's say we wish to print Python is easy 1,000 times. Now, should we write the print command 1,000 times? The obvious answer is no. Python provides us with looping functions to help us repeat a task. One of these looping functions or one of these looping constructs is the for loops. A basic for loop in Python looks like this. You might notice that this syntax is very different from other programming languages. For example, a for loop in Java looks like this. A variable is initialized, then we check for some conditions, and if the condition is true, we enter into the loop. After the code is executed, the variable is incremented or it is decremented. And then the condition is checked again and the code is executed, and then again the variable is incremented and the code is executed, and this process goes on and on until the condition becomes false. But this is not how for loops work in Python. In Python, for loops require iterables. So what are iterables? For example, in this case, for I in range 1000, what is this range 1000? What does it do? What this range 1000 does is it creates a sequence which starts from 0 and ends at 999. So what for loops does is it picks each of these values in the sequence and then executes the statement which is provided in the for loop. So it picks 0 and prints Python is awesome. Then it picks 1 and prints Python is awesome. Then it picks 2, then 3, and so on until it reaches 999. So this is how basic for loops work in Python. Apart from these basic looping, we can also loop through lists and tuples using for loops. In the previous tutorial, I had mentioned that tuples and lists are iterables. So we can replace the range with these iterables also. So let us see an example of this too. So let us consider the tuple named as cars, and the content of the tuple is as follows. To loop or to iterate through this tuple, we need to follow the same procedure. We write for loop with the keyword for. Then we write a name with which we would like to reference or access each element. In this case, I'm setting the name as car. Then you need to specify the data structure which you would like to loop or you would like to iterate through which. In our case, it is the cars tuple. So we'll write cars, then we need to add a colon, and finally write our code which we would like to run. In this example, I'm just printing each element in the cars tuple. So every element will be accessed one at a time and will be stored in the variable named as car, and it will be printed on the screen. Similarly, you can perform this operation on lists too. So let us see what will be the output of this code. So when I run this code, the first output will be 911 Carrera, and then it will go to M4, and then Corolla, and then finally Enzo. So the for loop will start from the first element and then iterate through second and third and fourth until it reaches till the end. Now, what if a situation arises where you want to access the element along with their index? That is, suppose you want to print the element name and you also want to print the element's index. Then, how will you do this with for loops? For performing this, we have a special type of for loops. Let us see and understand this with an example. So, we are considering the same previous tuple called as cars, and this cars tuple stores the name of some of the cars. However, to access these elements and their indices, we cannot use normal for loops. Thus, we need to use special enumerate function in this case. Here is the simple code snippet that will help you to understand how you can use this enumerate function. In this snippet, you can see that we have the enumerate function. This function takes an iterable as an input and returns two values. One of them is the index and the other is the value itself. Then you have two variables. One is index variable, which holds the index value of each element in the list. The second element which we have stores actual values of element at each index in the list. When we run this code, this is the output which we will get. So this is how we use enumerate functions. We will see all of this in action during the implementation. But you can also try out enumerate function on your own by using this code snippet which I have provided in this video. So you can just simply copy this and explore the enumerate functions on your own in your Jupyter notebook and learn various new things. Now that we have finished the for loops, let us talk about while loops in Python. In Python, while loop is used to execute a block of statements repeatedly until a given condition is satisfied. And when the condition becomes false, the line immediately after the loop in the program is executed. While loops fall under the category of indefinite iteration. Indefinite iteration means that the number of times the loop is executed isn't specified explicitly in advance. Now, how is this while loop executed? The given condition is first evaluated and checked if it is valid or invalid. But before going on with that, let me just show you the syntax of while loop. So this is the syntax of while loop. You have to write the keyword while and then you need to add a parenthesis. Now this parenthesis is optional. You can directly write the condition, but adding a parenthesis is good habit. Adding a parenthesis is a good habit. Now within this parenthesis, you need to write the condition which you want to check for. And if the condition is true, you need to write the statements which have to be executed. Now these statements will be placed inside the while loop after the colon, and there should be indentation before every code or every statement which is placed in the while loop. Now getting back to the working mechanism of while loops, I was saying that the given condition is first evaluated and it is checked if it is valid or invalid. And in simpler words, it checks if the condition is true or false. If the condition is true, then the loop body is executed and then the condition is checked again. If it is still true, the body is executed again and it continues until the expression becomes false. And I have already said that while loop is used to execute a block of statement repeatedly until a given condition is satisfied. Now let us see an example of a simple while loop. So in this example, we have created a list called as A and stored the values from 1 to 4 in this list. Then we have used a while loop to print the elements in this list. Here you may notice that I have used pop in this code. Now, if you have seen this pop statement for the first time, then you don't need to worry about it because I will be saying what is the meaning of this pop keyword and what does this pop method do, and I'll tell you pretty much everything about this. So if you have seen this for the first time, then just don't worry about this pop statement. Let us move on and you'll understand everything as I explain this code. Now let us understand how this while loop will be executed. This while loop will first check for the condition. In this case, the condition is that the length of this list A should not be equal to 0. Since our list is not empty, its length will not be 0 and therefore the condition will become true. Hence, the statement in the while loop will be executed. In this while loop, we only have one print statement. So this statement will be executed. And now in this print statement, we have a pop method. This method will simply pop the element present at the last index. And then it will update the list. This pop method will remove the last element from the list and return that element or return the removed element. And what this print statement will do is, it will simply print the returned element on the screen. Now on executing this code, our output will be as follows. You can see that the first number which is printed is 4, then we have 3, then 2, and then 1. After printing 1, the while loop will check if the length of the list is not equal to 0. Since 1 was the last element in our list, now our list is empty. This results in making the condition false and therefore the statements in the while loop won't be executed. Now that we know the basic functionality of while loops, let me show you some of the loop control statements which you can use in Python. So let us see what are control statements. These statements modify the way how normal loops are executed. Python has the following control statements. The first one is the continue statement. Then we have the break statement and we have the pass statement. Now, I will give you an overview of each of these statements and what these statements do. So let us begin with the continue statement. Continue statements are very simple and easy to understand. The basic logic behind continue statement is that it returns the control to the beginning of the loop. Whenever the control reaches to the continue statement, the remaining code of the loop is not executed and the control returns to the beginning of the loop and next iteration begins. Its syntax is very simple. You can simply use the keyword continue to implement continue statement in your code. Now, let us look at an example of continue statement. But before going on with the example, let me just highlight some point in the syntax. So in the syntax, I have also used a while loop. You are free to use any sort of loop which you want, but you need to make sure that you are using the continue statement within a loop. Okay, that was the point which I wanted to highlight in the syntax. Now let me just continue with the example of this control statement. So consider a list A which has the numbers from 0 to 10. Now we write the following code to perform some action on A. While length of A is not equal to 0, pop the last element from A and save it in X. Now check if the remainder obtained from dividing x by 2 is equal to 0 or not. If it is not equal to 0, then just continue. Otherwise, print the value of x on the screen. Here we are simply checking if the element is odd. If the element is odd, then continue with the loop and don't execute the rest of the statement. If the element is not odd, then the if condition will not be true and hence continue will not be executed and the value of x will not be printed on the screen. The value of x will be printed on the screen. So the output of this block will be 8, 6, 4, 2 and 0. Now we have completed continue statements and next we will be seeing the next control statement, which is the break statement. Break statements can be considered as the opposite of continue statements. Break statements bring the control out of the loop. In short, it terminates the loop. So let us see how we can use break statement. In this example, consider the list which has the numbers from 0 to 10 in ascending order. Now, we write the following code to perform some action on this list A. While length of A is not equal to 0, pop the last element from A and save it in X. Now check if X is equal to 5. If it is equal to 5, then break the loop, otherwise print the value of X on the screen. So this is a very simple code which I have used to explain the break control statement with the help of an example. The output of this block of code will be 10, 9, 8, 7 and 6. This was all for this break statement. Now we will see the last control statement in Python, which is the pass statement. Now we will be talking about the pass statements. The pass statement does nothing. It basically does nothing. It can be used when a statement is required syntactically, but the program requires no action. We use the pass statement to write empty loops. It can be used or it can also be used with functions. Let us see the examples of how we can use pass statements in order to understand it in a better way. In the first example, I have initialized the variable I with the value of 0. Then I'm checking if I is less than or less than 13. If I is less than 13, then the condition becomes true and we enter into the while loop. On entering the while loop, we increment the value of I by 1 and then we simply write the pass statement. And after writing the pass statement, we go out of the loop and we write the print statement. So what this simple code will do, it will initialize the value of I with 0, then it will check if I is less than 13. Since it is less than 13, it will enter into the while loop. It will increment the value of I by 1 and it won't do anything. It will see that there is a pass statement, so it will return the control back to the while loop and start the new iteration. So in the new iteration, again the value of I will be incremented from 1 to 2. And this process goes on and on till the value of I is not equal to 13. Once the value of I is equal to 13, it will simply come out of the loop and print the value of I, which is 13. Okay, in the next example, we are using a for loop. Now consider a for loop, okay, and you want to initialize an empty for loop and you want to use it for some purpose, but you don't want to mention any statement or any code in this for loop. So can you do it in Python? No, you cannot. You cannot write an empty for loop in Python. In order to write an empty for loop in Python, we use the pass statement. So the correct method of writing an empty for loop is this method. So you can see the two methods are different. In the first method, I have not used pass statement in my for loop. And in the second statement, Or in the second example, I have mentioned the past statement in my for loop. And when I execute this code, the interpreter will understand that there is nothing to be executed in this code, and it will not throw up any errors. So this was the basics of control statements in Python. And we have learned what are conditional statements, we have learned about logical operators, we have learned about loops, and in loops we have learned about for loops, while loops. I have taught you what are enumerate functions, and we have also seen the control statements in Python. And these concepts were targeted to be covered in this session. And if you are really interested in learning more about while loops, then you can go to Google and search about while else loops. These are some sort of different loops, and you will see a lot of interesting stuff in Python. So you just need to go to Google and search about all these stuff. One of the good site is Geeks for Geeks. It is a free site and you can just go and check it out. So that's it for this video, guys. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if this video helped you at all, and if you want more such videos, then do subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. I will see you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.